Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. And check out that eye, that's exactly what we want to see. Woo, look at that panel, baby. And that, as they say, is that. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today I'm going to be talking about, well, one of the most controversial, the most controversial Howard Chaykin comic. We're going to be looking at the Black Kiss Omnibus from Image Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Now, before going any further, a big thank you to the folks at Image Comics for sending us a copy of this omnibus. This omnibus came out in, I think in September sometime. There were a couple of delays, but now it's available everywhere. I will go ahead and say that the cover is different. Like what they have out there at places like Amazon, or even the Lunar listing of this had a different cover for a long time. I think they've updated it now. So it is a hardcover with the art on board, Howard Chaykin's Black Kiss Omnibus, and then we have maybe one or two different characters here. Oh, it gets confusing, believe me. The first thing I want to do is compare it to the size of a trade paperback. So this is a deluxe hardcover. It's bigger than a standard size hardcover. And yes, this is the size compared to a trade paperback. And while we have the spine here, Image, Black Kiss, Omnibus, Howard Chaykin. Then the back of the book, $39.99 is the retail price. Rated mature. This comes shrink wrapped in plastic. There's the ISBN. I will say, after reading the first Black Kiss, I thought, okay, how are they going to pitch this? So out of curiosity, I read the back. Nope. That does not do it justice. Like, down on his luck, jazz musician Cass Pollock, he doesn't even show up until the, well, I'll talk about it. Before I even open it up, I do have to give you saw the mature rating, and a lot of it has to do with the sexual content in here. And I always find it difficult to do these kind of videos whenever showing the artwork, because that's what a lot of people want to see is the artwork. But if I show the wrong page, well, you all know what could happen. So, gotta play it careful, and I'll try to show some of the stuff from the very first Black Kiss, and then Black Kiss 2, and then, of course, the July special. So, let's go ahead and crack it open. No dust jacket, it's just art on board. Okay, let's go ahead and get this open. The lipstick markings right there, or perhaps could be blood. Howard Chaykin, Black Kiss Omnibus Volume 1. Now, before I even open it up, let's go ahead and talk about what's collected in here. This is collecting Black Kiss 1 through 12, Black Kiss 2, 1 through 6, and then the Black Kiss XXX Mess. Did I even say that right? Probably not. In July special. And the book itself has a total of 400 pages, and again, retailing for $39.99. It is all done in black and white with the exception of the extras that are all the way in the back, and that's the way that Howard Chaykin wanted it done. So a little bit of the behind the scenes of what this is, or how this got started. At one point, Howard Chaykin had worked for DC Comics, and he had done reboots of The Shadow. He had been working, on the Black Hawk comic, which is one of my favorites, at DC Comics. And then they said, well, we're going to try to do a rating system for our comics, kind of like what this is rated mature. And Howard Chaykin was like, no, thanks. I've been fighting that all my life, so I'm out of here. So he took off, and in 1988 started publishing this book, the series, through Vortex Comics. And these came in polybags. These were books I've always known about, but they were in the back of the comic book store. They were behind the counter. Freaking hard to talk about this book. Let me flip through here a little bit. Okay, let's get to the second chapter. And it was just something that I never had a chance to read. Well, when they announced this omnibus, I was really excited because I'm a big fan of Howard Chaykin. And it is some of like his really, really good work in here, but it is driven by all the sexual content and, of course, the supernatural. And to do the pitch, I do have to talk a little bit about some spoilers. Maybe not the big twist that happens that I'm pretty sure most people know about. This had been previously published by Dynamite, Black Kiss 1, and I think they actually did a trade of 2. But I'm glad that we have it now in a hardcover format. Before I flip to the next page, I will say that this, out of any of Howard Chaykin's work, is the one that has made the most money for him. He's been on the record and has stated that this, outside of any of his other work that he's ever done, is the one that has made him the most money. Because of the different printings and the different places that you can find them in different languages all over the world. So the plot is a little hard to follow at first because the way this is done, it kind of leaves out some things and you think you're missing out on a part of the story. And that's why I said I don't think the back really did it justice, because it starts off with these two ladies at the very beginning. And it's about a robbery. It's about planning a robbery. One of them is Dagmar, and the other lady is somebody that works for her. And their plan is to kill a priest. And this prostitute is going to be serving him, but the job is to go and put this thermite bomb and steal this tape from him. That's the plan, but of course it goes bad when this nun ends up walking in there, or somebody dressed like a nun, and ends up stealing this. I'm sorry, it wasn't a tape, it was a film, like a reel of film. That was the plan. And then the bomb is detonated. So that goes south. And then in the second chapter, we meet this other character. This is a guy named Cass Polek, who's a guy that's a jazz musician. And he's actually framed for murder. Like, the mafia is after him. And they end up killing his wife and daughter while he's on the phone. And, like, man, it's dark. And his wife isn't a great person. Actually, none of the people in this book, that's another thing, are good people. There's really no good person in this book. So what ends up happening, Cass ends up meeting this one lady. And this one lady is going to become the third main character of the story. And we have Dagmar Lane, who is the lady that was planning the explosion. And then we have Cass Polek. And then we have Beverly Grove. He ends up meeting Beverly Grove, and through happenstance, he just finds her on the side of the road, takes her back home, and now he needs their help. This is where things get really interesting, because both Beverly and Cass, who look very similar, by the way, let's actually get to some pages here. Yes, right here. Who look very similar, and it is confusing because it's also in black and white. But there is a reason for that. Not for black and white, but the reason why they look similar. It's because... No, I can't. Ugh. How do I do this without spoiling it? Okay, so what ends up happening, they end up hiring him to go and get the reel. During his investigation, during his journey, while the mafia is still after him, by the way, this is all taking place in volume 1 of the series, he ends up going sort of undercover. He ends up going to different places. He gets Father Murtaugh, the priest that ended up getting blown up that had the reel. And what this reel is hiding is something that will incriminate Beverly. And Beverly Grove apparently has been a movie star from the 1950s, and we're looking at the 1980s right now. So remember when I said that Dagmar and Beverly look very similar? There's a reason for that. As he goes through his investigation, Cass kind of stumbles upon this cult. It's called the Order of Boniface. I think it's what it's called. Or he ends up getting this book. It's the Oath. Oh, I can't remember what the Oath of is, but he ends up stealing a copy of the book and learns about the Order of Boniface, and then stumbles upon them. And what they are is this cult of wannabe vampires. And a lot of the fingers are pointed right to Beverly Grove and her husband, Charles Bubba Kenton, who was a film star and also happened to be married to Beverly Grove in the 1920s. So how old is this lady, and why does she look like this? Well, vampires, cult, supernatural, sexual content, death, violence. Yeah, Howard Chaykin does not shy away. Fast forward to 2012, Howard Chaykin decided to revisit some of those characters, but he does it in a prequel-sequel way. So it starts off in the summer of 1906 in New York City, and we get to see, I think they're called a Nickelodeon. It's where you can see the film reels, and the audience ends up getting attacked by a group of vampires. Sorry, I had to skip through most of issue number 1. What ends up happening is all of this leads into the spring of 1912, where Charlie Bubba Kenton ends up meeting one of the succubus victims from that Nickelodeon in 1906 as the Titanic is about to strike an iceberg and sink. And then Kenton is pulled from the sea and becomes a vampire. And then, so when I said that this works like a prequel sequel, it starts off in 1906, moves to 1919, and then we get to meet more and more characters. We get to meet characters like Devora and Zona, and there's a lot of name changes, and it can get a little bit confusing. Like, there's a character that changes her name to Ilona, and then Ilona changes her name to Blanche. And you can see where this is going, because eventually this will lead them into Hollywood, into the 1950s, when we saw at the very beginning that there were starlets and movie stars that were working in the 1950s all the way to the 60s, and that's how they're keeping their youth. There is a big twist that happens in issue number 3 that I thought for 1988, that was kind of a big deal. You didn't see a lot of those kind of stories. It happens during a threesome, for lack of a better term. A menage a trois, for a classier way of putting it. And now let's look at the Triple X that takes place in 1910 at the very beginning, and it does star the character of Ilona again. And if you know what ends up happening to her, you know who she ends up becoming. And then we even have the Halloween special back here too, which is just another collection of short stories. And then in the back, we do have some articles about Black Kiss. And of course, we have the covers. So the covers came polybagged, so they could show whatever they wanted to. This is some of the stuff from 2012. And then the special and the one-shots. This is, I think, what they had as the actual cover for this omnibus. And yeah, that's all I can... And that's pretty much all I can show. And then this is your end sheets. 400 pages, sewn binding, and surprisingly printed in a thick, glossy paper stock. No real bleed through, and honestly, there's not a lot of splash pages happening. But I did want to show you what it would look like. Yeah, there's no real bleed through happening for a black and white book. But that's what this is about. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. In the comments down below, let me know if you've never heard of this and you're just a fan of Howard Chaykin, or if it was something that was in the back of the comic book store or behind those poly bags that you always wanted to check out but didn't know exactly what it was. Hope I didn't confuse you too much with the explanation as to what some of these stories are like. But yeah, that's it, everybody. If you have any more questions, leave them down below. Would you love to see American Flag get this kind of treatment? I hope one day we do get a big deluxe edition of all American Flag. But that's it, everyone. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.